Perfect. So welcome everyone. As you know, this is another part of our virtual engagement series. Specifically, we're going to be talking about essay writing, whether you're starting your common application or you want to learn a little bit more about supplemental essays. Well, we have two University of Chicago students here who have a lot of experience with difficult supplemental essays, so we'd be happy to help you today. So in case this is your first time here in the webinar series, my name is Danielle. I'm one of the University of Chicago summer interns here at the Education USA Mexico City Center, currently in Mexico City, and I'm really happy to see you all here today. So if George, you'd like to introduce yourself.
All right, hello everyone. My name is George, and I'm also one of the University of Chicago interns at the Education USA Mexico City Center, although I am working remotely from home as I was not able to make it to the Mexico City Center. But regardless, I'm so glad to get to be here with you all today.
Thanks, George. So we're going to be talking a little bit about our essay writing experience and some general tips. But first, I actually included a fun icebreaker for you guys to get involved a little bit. So I think I know the answer to this one, but I always ask this question anyway. So you guys just feel free to unmute. Icebreakers are meant to kind of just, get us acquainted with the room. So the question is, what do you think will be the hardest aspect of the common application? It might actually be the thing we're working on today. So what do you guys think? Someone saying essays. You guys agree? I think the most common response that people say are the essays. So yeah, it's always based on personal preference, but I think that most people express a lot of difficulty with, knowing how to start their essays or knowing how exactly do I know if my essay is good. So we're going to share a few tips to kind of introduce what aspects we think contribute to a good essay, what parts of our own essays made, our standout, and some general resources for you guys. So really happy that you guys are all here today. So we're gonna kind of talk about why colleges use essays. If you're applying to the US, generally you're gonna need to submit either a personal essay or a supplemental essay. Sometimes colleges don't require a supplemental essay, but we'll explain why. So why do most colleges read essays? So essays kind of give the admissions officers insight into the applicant. It's a huge school most of the time, looking through a lot of applications, and they have to go through thousands of essays, and they're trying to make sure that the people they admit are going to bring something unique to the class. So they're sifting through all these essays, all these really talented applicants that, otherwise have amazing grades, their extracurriculars are amazing, demonstrated interest. So that's kind of why essays were introduced and kind of helped the process. But as you imagine, it's still extremely competitive. So some universities value essays and writing more than others. Getting admitted into the University of Chicago, George and I can both agree that writing is a strong culture here, and they want you to know how to write, not just for the sake of being a good stylistic writer, but I think Uchicago really values intellectual inquiry and the way you think, as well as being able to understand the audience you're writing to, which is what kind of we're going to be working on today. So that's kind of why colleges read essays. And we actually have a few resources here. I put some here that I used, and then George can kind of expand on some of the things he used here or additional ones. I think the biggest one for personal essays applying to college is a Reddit subreddit, and it's basically just a bunch of students that come together and they talk about college and essay tips. The moderators there are very supportive. One of my best friends is actually a moderator, and you meet other international students. I think it's really helpful for, if you're an international student, it's probably the best college resource that there is. So yes, we'll have these resources sent to you via email, so you guys can make sure you guys check these again. College essay guy is also really important, I think. I've heard of him at least like 20 times when I was applying, and he actually does have a scholarship program for domestic students to get free writing consulting, which is what I did. It's called Matchlighters, but unfortunately it's only for domestic students. So if you're international, you can't do it, but his free resources are practically just as good, if not better, than the consulting I received. So I put those both there for you to look at. And also this book. So if you're a book kind of person, this book called Hack the College Essay is pretty good. I highly recommend. And then supplemental essays. I mentioned College Essay Guy, but if you are interested in the University of Chicago, I put the link here for the specific supplemental essay prompts for this incoming year. And generally, if you're looking for supplemental essays, universities will post them on their website. So if you're interested in a specific college, please look to that college's website, search up, let's say you want to go to UPenn supplemental essays. Most of the time they don't change between years, but Uchicago changes, so you want to keep that in mind. And yeah, George, if you want to mention any other things that like helped you write your essays.
Another resource that's not on here, I'm not sure if it would be as helpful as these other ones, because I haven't seen much of like College Essay Guy in my search, for example. But the other one I used was like Prep Scholar in finding like ways to like better write essays, as well as examples of like essays that got students admitted and stuff like that. That was one of the bigger things that I used in my essay writing process.
Prep Scholar literally saved me too. So honestly, there's a bunch of websites. If you literally look up supplemental essays, they'll just have a list of a bunch of essays that people submit that got them admitted. So Prep Scholar is one of those. So highly recommend, actually. So alongside that, just kind of honestly looking at any example from any website might be beneficial, but these are like the most prominent ones where people come to. And I feel like they are the most helpful. So okay, so I actually got this from the College Essay Guy. So you guys might be wondering, okay, a supplemental essay, what exactly is that? So, actually, before we go, okay, yes, Yandy mentioned, also look to Education USA, because the advisors are incredible. Yandy's amazing. Magali's, like, they're all great. They're all very sweet, and they're here to help you. So reach out to your Education USA advisors so they can help you. Anyways, so I copied this from the College Essay Guy, and it's kind of just a rundown of what kind of really helpful advice you might get. So a type of supplemental essay is usually the why us essay. You're given like, a paragraph or so to explain, okay, why do I want to apply to this college? Why do I belong here? Blah, blah, blah. So here are actually 6 mistakes that people do on those types of essays. So let's say they're asking, why do you want to major in fashion here at Columbia University? Okay. I guarantee you, people who want to go to Columbia, most people automatically want to bring up New York City. I want to be in New York City. But guess what? There's like hundreds of other universities in the general New York City area. So, your YSA isn't unique anymore. So this just kind of goes down the rundown of a lot of things that people mess up on their YS essays. So I mentioned the location, sometimes the size, because a lot of universities are actually quite similar in size. Reputation, prestige goes hand in hand. Weather, ranking, flowery language, we're going to get to that. You don't want to sound overly, you're not trying to sound too smart or like you're trying to compensate for something, and we'll show you what we mean. Some people copy paste their Y essays. So let's say you're applying to, okay, real life essay I've reviewed was applying to Northwestern, but they copied and pasted their Johns Hopkins essay into Northwestern and forgot to change the name. Don't do that. You don't want to copy and paste your Y essays. I think generally sentence structure can be similar, but the content needs to be different if you genuinely care about the colleges you're applying to. Don't copy from brochures or the website. Traditions, you want to stay away, actually. You can mention it. Like, I know Scav is really fun at Uchicago. If people don't know, Scav is like our like, it used to be the biggest scavenger hunt world record holder, but now it's not. But it's literally like the best scavenger hunt ever. So yes, Scav is fun, but that should not be the only reason you apply to Uchicago. So don't make that like the whole focus of your essay. Lastly, thinking of it as only a why them when you want to make it personal to you. You have to look at the university and like seriously consider, do I like this university? Why? And you need to find those reasons why. Because you're not just picking them, you're picking it for yourself. And you want to show them that you did the research, you put in the time. Honestly, I know, I get it, because you're reading a brochure. They're very general and vague about the things they offer, which is really annoying because now you have to be really specific about why you want to attend this university just because it's really competitive. I get it. But you'll do yourself a favor in the long run, I think, when you realize a school might not be for you, or you actually like it more than you initially thought based on research. So we're going to show you guys how to do that research. But first, we're going to talk about the personal essays now. So I have this fun little panel question for everyone. We're just going to kind of talk about like what exactly did we write our Common App essay on. So starting off, I mean, George, without getting too personal details, I mean, how'd you start? What do you write your essay on?
Yeah, the main focus I had throughout my essay was regarding my particular passion of mine that I have, namely foreign language, and how it was something it's something that I pursued for much of my middle and high school life along those lines, as well as the conflicts it led to with my family, because they were not supportive of my interest or me spending time on learning that kind of thing, as well as like the sheer level that I got of passion that I got to with it in regards to how it like seeped into like schoolwork and that kind of thing. And yeah, that was at least part of the premise of my like main Common App essay. Although I wrote it actually technically different, where I had a different prompt technically than the Common App, where it was asking me through my different program that I applied to Uchicago through, where it asked me to like tell me about myself, like broadly, like my life story and such like that. But yeah.
You actually reminded me. Thank you. So, okay. So what George is talking about is QuestBridge. So QuestBridge is kind of similar to Common App, except you actually write more in QuestBridge. The reason why we didn't bring up QuestBridge today was just because it's for domestic students or students that are international that have studied in the US for a significant amount of time. So this includes DACA, immigrant, like kind of in that context, or Americans studying abroad. Basically, it's just prioritized for low-income domestic students, but similar premise where you would have to write an 800-word essay for QuestBridge as opposed to the 650-word for Common App. I also applied QuestBridge, but I got rejected. So I ended up through Common App, but I think it's really important to have those like diverse like ways of applying, but they're actually pretty similar in some ways, with the exception of just being asked more. I don't know, George, if you want to explain a little bit more about like how long
Yes.
it took you to make your essay. How did that work?
For the main app that I did for QuestBridge, it took me probably like 2, 3 weeks to fully like revise. The thing, and also the thing is, once I was accepted through the QuestBridge program as like a finalist, what happens as the finalist is you have to apply to the schools that you've ranked as part of the QuestBridge program, and you have to like complete their supplemental essays. However, Uchicago was a bit different in that I also had to fill out the Common App. So I filled out the Common App, and for that, I was just able to use the same essay I wrote for QuestBridge, just like the main essay for the Common App. But I still had to write supplementals for Uchicago and all the other schools that I applied to in my time.
Did you do match? Like, did you
Yeah, I did.
you matched? Okay, okay,
Mhm.
perfect. So what kind of George is explaining, right? Like, so regardless of the program you're doing or what application you use, you have the supplementals, and then you have like a certain deadline that you turn them in. QuestBridge is known for having more earlier deadlines, but some schools required you to submit a Common App anyway, but you can kind of just copy paste the same essay. And that's kind of what like most of my friends did. So yeah, it's the same process. I think my experience was a little similar. I had been writing my Common App essay, I think the summer before. Like I had started drafting my essays really well before. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, start your essays early. And then I realized that didn't really help me too much. There's a lot of people that get admitted that write their essays last minute. And the essays I ended up submitting to Uchicago were actually the essays I changed immediately last minute, the day/night before. And do I recommend it? No, because some people do not work well under that pressure. But I know some people that like work better when it's early and it's done. Completely respected. I genuinely tried, but it just didn't feel genuine enough for me. So that's why some people write it very last minute, because I think that is your most authentic self. So I still recommend have people like look over for grammar, like last minute grammar, okay, regardless of what you choose to do. Understand that it's about you. I know some people write about family and stuff and they're very important, but you have to like write about it in respect to how it affects you and like what you want to do and what you care about. And also like it's overwhelming to balance classes with college applications. I don't think people talk about that enough because sometimes people fall senior year. I didn't. But some people do, and it's very stressful, and you do not want to get rescinded. Rescinded means that you drop your acceptance if like your grades get really, really bad. But they're actually willing to work with you. So that should not happen. Like if you get a B when you usually get straight A's, like you're fine. Like they're not gonna be like, liar, you suck, we're gonna kick you out. You know, they're not gonna be like that. So what else? Oh, I didn't actually talk about what I wrote my essay on. So my essay has gone through at least like a million different revisals, and I actually ended up with the one that I wrote very last minute. I mentioned my first essays, one of them talked about my sister and me, another one talked about like a Cinderella metaphor. A lot of people like use metaphors, but I feel like it kind of, people overemphasize style as opposed to personality nowadays because you want to like seem different and cool, and people feel like their authentic selves isn't good enough. So I kind of just wrote about my culture and like my personal life, but I focused a lot more on like the ways I've kind of explored. How do I explain it? Basically, it felt like a routine, and I kind of described the routine of my life and how all these little things kind of obstruct the routine, and how much I hate routines. I'm very spontaneous. I like being unpredictable. And I think that's like what I wrote my essay on. Like, not really a big emphasis on drama. I know some people tell you to write a sob story, but like you can save personal information in the additional information box, which people don't realize. Like you don't have to go all graphic about something that happened in your life. I think it speaks more when you talk about just generally how you feel and who you are as a person and what you've grown as. Kind of what George mentioned. I mean, I like his essay a lot just from hearing the way he talks about it, because I relate a lot with it too, and they want to relate with you. George, if you want to like say anything.
Yeah, another thing that I thought that I had in mind when doing my apps is that like I mean like in the case of usually what I try to do is I try to like not keep all the detail. I try not to like keep all like the stuff about me into just one essay. It's usually spread out. There's other details that I like answer in other like questions, maybe like other mini essays or questions, and I find a way to tie that back with um, the university and everything like that. That's generally like because like I did have to write a considerable amount about myself in my essay that I had to do for Questbridge, but I still found some room to like add some other details or like emphasize a bit further some other details about me in the other essays that I did or other questions I answered.
That's a really good point. Yeah, you're not just writing one essay. If you're writing Uchicago, you literally like don't even have a word count for how much crap you want to write. My friend wrote 8 pages, single space, 11 font, story, and got admitted, like from my school. Like, oh, and she's a Questbridge badge too. But like literally, like take advantage. I'm telling you, if your personal essay, you don't want to write about certain thing, okay, use a different like prompt that fits and then just kind of talk about it there, or try to see how many different aspects of yourself can you show in these different essays. Your YS essay, your supplemental essays, personal essay. Your personal essay is not meant to be like academic, I'm so smart, blah blah blah. It's reflecting more so on like if you do want to make it an academic essay, it's called personal essay. You want to reflect on the ways that kind of affects you and the way you think or the way you see the world or what you think needs to be done in the world. Like you want to go that step beyond and ask yourself those philosophical questions, reflect on your life. And I know it's hard, okay? It's like a college essay. Like I shouldn't have to be soul searching for my essay, but I feel like it helps nonetheless, even if you're not admitted, to know at least some level of maturity for your age. And I know it's asking a lot for 17-year-olds, which is why you don't always have to write about like some serious gruesome stuff. Like I literally wrote about like Japanese in high school and like food. Like I remember bringing that stuff up. Like it's serious, the stuff I talk about, but like it comes from almost very simple things. So George, I don't know if you have any like last bit advice.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have anything else to add in regards to like the actual essay writing into like my actual essay writing process right now, besides just like being yourself. And that's a point that I'll actually explain later as we get further into the supplementals and discussing those.
Yeah, because the supplementals I feel like are like the big, like I mean my personal essay was fine, but like the supplementals is where like the fun starts, in my opinion. Like I loved my supplementals more than my personal essay. And it's not because like I don't like talking about myself. It's just like Chicago's really fun. So you know what? Let's get into it. Okay, you know what? So I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. And I'm gonna show you guys a video. All right, there we go. So it is the Uchicago supplemental essay prompts for share my screen for this year. So if you're applying, if you are currently a senior, this is for you. I watched this video and honestly, I don't know what prompt I'd work on, but we're doing it. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I can see. It's all good.
All right, cool. All right. Oh, I forgot to share sound. Oh my God, I'm brain dead. Okay, hold on. Share sound. There we go. All right, let's get started. Okay, guys, what do we think? You guys got any ideas yet? It's fine if you don't, because I first watched the video and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what I do either. Well, although for me, I'd say personally, like the palindrome one would be interesting, but at the same time, it would be difficult for me to actually properly think of one, I'd say, or something to incorporate with it. But yeah. Also, Danielle, do you know if that video kind of thing is new? Because I don't remember that being a thing when I applied. Or
I
maybe I
feel like
just,
we had one. I just didn't watch it.
I probably didn't either. I guess I'll look for it later. But
But
yeah.
yeah, the same prompts are on the website. We'll send it to you guys, so you guys don't have to like. But the video is there. You can just look up like Uchicago 2022-2023 essays, and they're there. So before we get to that uncommon essay, does anyone have any thoughts on like like just those prompt reveals alone? They make new prompts like every year, like applying year. So ours were different. Someone says there are fun questions. I think maybe there are made to make you think out of the box. Right, exactly. Because Uchicago's quirky and unique, so they
Yeah.
want you to answer different things. I
Yeah.
actually know that people submitted.
Nada es porque no está como streaming, ¿ve?
Ujú. Generalmente los streams salen hasta arriba, bueno, no general.
Entonces está en Zoom, pero estoy con la cámara.
Okay. Anyways, yeah. Did anyone have any like other thoughts? Like, do you guys like them? I mean, some people immediately like, oh heck no, I'm done. I don't like writing. Goodbye. So, but I mean, do you guys like the prompts? Most colleges aren't like in Chicago.
Yeah, the other ones, the other like supplementals tend to be like kind of more, I guess, formal, I'd say. Like the ones I did for other schools, generally, like they might ask about like my family or like certain accomplishments of mine and why they're important to me or other things like that. Yeah, it was nothing like the Chicago supplemental.
But like that's why Chicago's better. Cause like I don't want to write about some boring talk about an experience that meant something to you. Like, bro, I don't care. I want to write about something fun. Like, damn. Oh, you guys are okay. So someone says they're really unexpected. I feel like they're meant to be sort of weird. See how creative you are. Yeah, absolutely. I've read a bunch of my friends' essays and they're like, some people be constructing like whole stories. I'm like, oh my gosh, mine was not that cool, but okay.
Mine was
I kind of
honestly,
like, oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, like the one I did for mine, which I'll get into in a bit. I kind of wrote a bit literally about it, but at the same time, it was in a way that like really like best showed like the interest I had in languages and linguistics and that sort of thing. So it was like perfect to write. But yeah, I'll get into that a bit more.
Do you guys know Kung Fu Panda? You guys know like Master Oogway from Kung Fu Panda? I think Montserrat brings up like a good point. Master Oogway says there are no accidents. And generally, I don't think when you're scared about writing something wrong, it's not actually wrong. And I don't think you can really write anything wrong on these essays unless you're writing like a hate speech or a near borderline offensive essay, then okay. But the prompts don't really, I don't see how you can really go in that direction. People can, people are creative, but there are no accidents. So it works out, trust me. So before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit more about the why us essay, specifically for Uchicago, and kind of how we actually knew Uchicago was right for us. I mean, looking at the prompts, I knew like this is it. I love this school. I fell in love with this school, and it was like my dream school for since the 2 years I found out about college. But so George, I kind of ask you, what did you write for your YS essay for Uchicago?
I mentioned regarding Uchicago, I actually hadn't heard much about it until like the summer of before senior year when I was looking at colleges and like looking at Questbridge and that kind of thing and seeing Uchicago was on it. So yeah, as I read more about it, including like the supplementals, I like came to like really like it. And the main thing I'd written about was like wanting to pursue my interest in foreign language and culture because of like all of the sheer languages that UChicago offers. They have like I think 80 or something like that. I forgot how many, but it's a whole lot. And I also wrote about like the intersection I have with my other strong interest in like computer science and programming and linguistics, and wanting to contribute and wanting to like get to work with people on that sort of thing because UChicago has like projects regarding with that kind of intersection with CS and linguistics, computational linguistics stuff.
So what kind of research did you have to do to kind of, like what you write about? I imagine, so I was kind of on the same boat with linguistics and stuff. So did you mention specific courses? Did you look into like, I know Chicago is pretty interdisciplinary. If you want to talk about the nitty gritty.
Yeah, I was basically looking like into the course code as well as like the other various I guess like departments and their intersections in regards to CS linguistics. Like they had like a specific kind of program I want to contribute to. I forgot the name of it. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but that was definitely something I mentioned. But yeah, it was for the YS, my research involved looking deeper into like the information pages on like stuff like the linguistics department, the CS department, that sort of thing. And that's the kind of thing you want to like look into as you're like learning, as you're like really considering why you want to go to this school. If you're thinking in regards to like courses and other things that they have to offer.
Exactly. You guys like the prestige. I know because I was there. I want to apply to Harvard and everything. But then when you start researching these universities, you realize I don't really like how things are structured here. I think I'd be better here, which is why you like narrow down your list. So for Uchicago, I mean, big interdisciplinary focus, but not too big. I feel like it's normal. Like if you are strictly, you know what you want to do. I knew coming to college I was going to be an anthro major, and I'm still an anthro major, adding comparative human development on there. So changed a little bit, but I think I kind of already knew what I wanted to do, and that helps a lot with planning your courses and what to look for. So courses, course load, professors, specific research programs. You want to look at the syllabus or the course catalog for us. You want to look at, I'm mentioning a lot, maybe you've worked with specific professors or specific professors. Let's say you're really interested in biological sciences. Look to the programs they offer for low-income students. Look into like literally your job for the YSSA. You're going to be spending more time looking up random stuff to make yourself fall in love with the university than actually writing the essay. I mentioned the Uchicago essays don't have a word count, so you can write whatever you want. My Y essay was pretty long and pretty specific. That's great because other universities have word counts. And honestly, I don't know how I can fit my undenying enthusiasm in 250 words. Not possible. But how you make that work, you have those specific things you've researched. You've talked to students that go there and can, answer some questions you have. What else? Maybe you actually attended like the university at some point. I imagine most of you don't, especially if you're international. Go on like a virtual tour. Okay, look at the campus. Do you like how it looks? I know it's petty, but if you do not like the campus, like if it looks ugly to you, you're not going to like it for those 4 years. A lot of people cut off colleges off their list because they don't like the colors. The campus is ugly, whatever. But I feel like the most important aspects, financial aid. Do they offer good financial aid for students? Like, you want to look at all this stuff. Don't write about like financial aid like too much in your YS essay, because it's kind of assumed if you're applying for financial aid, you're going to get the financial aid. But you can mention how like social mobility, you can bring that up. And in my opinion, I feel like that's like the most underrated one, because people are scared to admit that like they're poor. But that's another one that I don't see often that you could do. George, I see you unmuted. If you want to bring up something.
Yeah, another thing I was going to mention is like, another thing I had learned while I was writing this is like, while it's good to like look into the kinds of specifics and stuff like that, you don't want your YS essay to end up looking like just like kind of like a listing of things you want, a listing of things you like. You have to find a way to incorporate stuff and how it actually ties back to you and why you're actually interested, in a way that doesn't come off just as like a listing of specific things.
Right. You don't want to be like that kid that's like, oh, I know this professor. That doesn't work. Okay. Like, why do you care? Why should I care that you know this professor and you know these courses? Obviously, you want to make a case for yourself that you're very interested in this specific topic. You're very interested in this specific research because it's personal to you in some way. Like, I get it, 250 words in most colleges, you're not going to have the most profound response of mankind, okay? But generally for the YSSA, I have worked with a lot of students to submit their essays, okay? One student I work with is actually an international student in Nicaragua, and she got a full ride to NYU Abu Dhabi. Insane, I know. And it's NYU. NYU gives horrible financial aid. So like, I'm telling you, you already have a unique perspective. You just need to know how to leverage it correctly and communicate that well. And it's very hard. Hence why most people don't write good essays. But I'm not saying that to scare you, because people absolutely do. I don't like being those people that's like, oh, everyone's essay sucks. Because most of the people they're talking about are like really privileged, wealthy students that like pay someone to write their essays for them. Or like they write about something very mundane. You already have something unique, personal, passionate, whatever. It's just a matter of taking the things that you generally like in a college and what you're looking for, tying it to you, and then you're done. So I guess that's like the why us essay experience with us. It took me like, I don't know, research about a week, and January, I've always loved Uchicago, but I really got into the nitty gritty about it in like a week before the deadline, which is horrible. I know, guilty. But now I can literally name a bunch of random stuff about the university, and I love my university. You want to end up at the place that loves you and sees your love, and then obviously you actually like them, and you're going to keep liking them. Does anyone have any questions? If not, it means that we're good. You can always use the chat or just like unmute or like raise your hand and boom, we'll answer your question. So the best part, what prompt did we choose for our Uchicago Uncommon essay, and how did we write that? George, I'm throwing it to you.
Oh yeah. So here's the funny thing actually regarding the essay that I wrote for this. It's actually the one I revised the least out of every essay that I've done. I barely made any revisions to it whatsoever. I just wrote it. I just like, when I saw the prompt, I knew it was like the perfect opportunity for like a brain dump of my interest and everything in answering the question. So I just wrote it in one go, and I basically just kind of left it at that, making me like maybe some minor like grammatical edits and stuff like that. But yeah, the essay that I chose to wrote for my year, basically it was asking the question of how restaurants are able to offer unlimited breadsticks, and you can answer in the prompt is saying you can answer this with any kind of perspective you want. You could do like biological, I don't know, like astronomical, or like whatever whatever field you want to answer the question from, you can answer it like that. You come up, it's like there's all that freedom with it. But in my case, I kind of went, like I said, I mentioned earlier, I went with a literal-ish answer to the question. And with it, I explored like the connotations of the phrase unlimited breadsticks and how it ties with like different fields of linguistics, namely like semantics and pragmatics. And I was like exploring how like semantically the expression means like truly like infinite unlimited breadsticks, but but when keeping in mind pragmatics, it's not actually infinite because the restaurants can't afford to actually do that. And I explored a little bit more on like the pragmatic side on like why they don't actually offer unlimited breadsticks, but the meaning of like unlimited is communicated because at the end of the day, a customer is not going to be consuming an infinite amount of breadsticks. So yeah, that's how like I started with the linguistics interpretation and went kind of more literal on it. But it was a really fun essay to write, and I feel like it definitely helped in showing like proving my passion for languages that I talked about so much throughout my application.
George, you're killing my dreams. You're saying I can't eat infinite breadsticks?
You could try, I mean, but that's another
I
thing.
have a black hole stomach, George. You can watch me, but I mean, okay.
It's funny you
that's
mentioned
actually
that
a
though.
really good
It's funny you
response.
mentioned the black hole stomach though, because I actually brought up the video game character Kirby, who quite literally has one of those.
Kirby is literally infinite. You're right. Kirby could probably eat a breadstick. That is one thing you could say to that prompt. Kirby is the only possible human. Well, I don't even know what the heck Kirby is. Kirby's the only. Wait, King DDD. Anyone in that game franchise can eat infinite breadsticks. But
Mhm.
I feel
Yeah.
like someone already answered that. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like more people pick old prompts than they do the new prompts because I feel like the prompts for our year were like, I don't know, they kind of sucked compared to the ones that I saw for like this year. I was like, I mean, didn't we have like what can be divided by 0 or something? I don't remember.
I think I think I remember seeing that at one point looking at past prompts. Another past prompt I actually remember, like, because I thought about it, it's like, oh my God, I probably would have written this one if I saw it. It was like asking you to like it's like asking you to come up with a word like that's blending all sorts like languages. Like it showed an example of one of that. And I was like, oh my God, I totally would have done this if I had saw it.
No, literally, they sent like all the linguistic ones out. And like, okay, I initially was going to be a linguistics major and then I changed. So, ironically, looking back, like, it's funny because I wrote my Uncommon App essay. I chose a past prompt. The prompt was like, okay, the 3 blind mice, something pairs of 3. I don't even know what you call them. Threes? I don't know.
Triplets.
Yeah, triplets. Like pick a group of 3 and explain how they work. So like they had a bunch of examples and like some nursery rhyme stuff, like 3 French hens, like from that song. I forgot. 12 Days of Christmas. There you go. So mine was really stupid, but I feel like looking back, I kind of had no idea I wanted to do something relating to like psychology and like bio and like human interaction. So I wrote about Futurama. I really love that TV show. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's like, I think it's coming back actually on Hulu, but it was like gone for some time. And like I grew up watching Futurama. And it was really fun. So the 3 main characters in the show are Leela, Bender, and Fry. I'm like, they're all kind of stupid, but like they're all complex in their own ways. And one of them is literally a robot. Yet somehow the writers like managed to make them all best friends and it kind of actually works and you actually care about the relationships. So I literally, it was an entire psychoanalysis about how it could be possible that these 3 like completely opposite like mutant robot human from the past could possibly be friends when one of the robots is like literally trying to kill all humans. So that was my essay and I didn't think much of it. It was just like I wrote it last minute and made me happy. And I feel like I feel like that's all like it needs to be, right?
Yeah. And then the funny thing is like I procrastinated pretty much most of my supplementals in like the last week or two. But yeah, and like I I've spent plenty of time trying to revise others to get something that I like with it. But when it came to doing the Uchicago supplemental, it was like I said, it's like I just got to like brain dump for my answer, and that was it. It was that good, and I enjoyed writing it so much.
I feel like that's the cutest part of it though. Like all the essays I've read, it's like a bunch of brain dumps of different people, and it's like so awesome. So if you ever worry about writing something wrong, you're not wrong, okay? You're smart, you're big brain, you already have the Uchicago in you. You just kind of have to show it. And like, I guess, I mean, I didn't actually, my favorite essay was my YS essay, actually. Like, it wasn't even the Uncommon App essay, but like looking back, instead of linguistics, now I'm a comparative human development major. So now I'm kind of like doing a little bit of anthro, sociology, psychology, biology, and like all this big mishmash of the major. And it's like, so I guess my Uncommon essay kind of fit because I didn't know I was into this. I tried it, I was good at it, and now I'm doing it at Uchicago. So like it works out even if you don't feel like you're doing it. As long as you kind of actually, this is a good segue to the tips I have for you guys. Thought process is like a big one. I feel like they look at no matter how literal or metaphorical it is. Obviously, I feel like there's some exceptions. Like you want to be smart with the way you write, and you're probably worried, oh, I'm not smart. Then you are smart. Just some people I think get up a little too caught up in being a little too metaphorical, or some people are just very literal, and it can work. I'm not saying it can't work. Who am I to tell you? I'm not the admissions officer. What do I know? But I think it's really important that you just prioritize your thought process on a literal, your document, your essay. Also try out different prompts. Like the one I had was not the one I had initially. I was experimenting with a lot of different thought processes for the prompts. What else? I mentioned these earlier for the YS essay, identifying like courses or professors or programs and like social communities. Yes, Uchicago for like a top university in the US is very diverse in my opinion. That's not saying much because honestly, a lot of higher education institutions are not that diverse. But Uchicago, I think, is like more known to be more diverse in my opinion. So if you value that, look into like the programs that are specific for you. I know there's like cultural Greek life, I don't know, but stuff like that. You can also research like the university's values. I know Uchicago's, the immediate thing is intellectual. Like Uchicago, even if you're like a goofball or you feel like you're stupid, like I do sometimes, like generally everyone here, it doesn't mean they're just like naturally prodigy smart. What we mean by intellectual is someone who genuinely prioritizes knowledge and seeks knowledge in their life. That doesn't mean like book smart. I think Uchicago is like any type of knowledge. Do you absolutely have nerds, professors that sit in their room all day and do nothing? Yes. Do you have students that are like that? Yes. Probably more so than any other university I can think of in the top 20. But people here are so smart in so many different ways, and they really love just knowledge in general, that you guys will literally be talking about Hegel's philosophy on your way to get a coffee. Like, that's kind of the value. So academic programs, yes, look extensively and ask yourself genuinely if you like this college. Yes, Columbia is cool. New York is cool. The light blue merch color is arguably one of the cutest colors I've seen. But ask yourself if you'd be genuinely happy at Columbia. Just like Uchicago. Maybe you're looking at both of us and like, you guys are weird. I don't want to do any of that. I want to be, I don't know, let's say an engineer, and I want to go somewhere else. Absolutely fine. Uchicago is not for everyone. I'd rather you go somewhere where you're happy than go to Uchicago and be miserable, because we're not all happy here either. There's a lot of flaws. But there's also like other factors that most people think of. So obviously if you're legacy, I don't think most people here are legacy. But let's say you had a great grandma that went to Uchicago. I don't know if you found that in your family tree. See if the college considers legacy, but I would absolutely encourage you find a general different reason aside from like the ones I mentioned before. What else? Yeah, I kind of mentioned a lot of these already. Yeah, do you want to add anything else, George?
I don't think I have really that much else to add besides, well, the ultimate point that I feel like has been like kind of just like it's like kind of talked around throughout the whole thing. It's above all, it's just being yourself in your writing. That's the main thing, honestly.
Also, I feel like people underestimate how diverse everyone really writes. I guarantee you, you naturally are a more interesting person than you think you are. Uchicago is a little different because I feel like everyone is like interesting in their own like little way. But other top schools, you're gonna see like a lot of the same kinds of people. And I feel like you guys, like, if you're very worried, don't be, because you guys, I feel like, have like more diverse life experiences than like most of the people you're gonna see in higher education in the US. What else? I mean, yeah, believe in yourself. This process, my confidence was at an all-time low because I genuinely, my GPA, my test scores were like bad. So essays and my extracurriculars were literally the only thing carrying me, and I feel like that really helped. Also, like, I had naturally different experiences than most people. Prioritize on that. Like, think about yourself honestly, believe in yourself, try to think of ways that you can contribute, because it's how should I say it? Yes, I talk about passion and love a lot, but the reality is college admissions is very transactional. It is a business, especially in the US. You're trying to give something and they know they have the stuff. You just need to know how to point at things and you take what you have. I feel like that's general life advice, not even just for my essays. Like, know what you want to get, communicate that, and you shall receive. Like professional life advice. Boom. Not even for your essays. What else? All right. Well,
I just
oh,
remembered
sorry.
one last thing, by the way. It's just don't overload yourself. If you're applying to multiple schools and you're procrastinating, like don't, at least to the same extent that I did, because in my case, I had procrastinated so hard that I was writing like essays for like a bunch of schools in like a week, and it was hell because I basically neglected my schoolwork for that almost that entire time. But yeah, so like if you're applying, so when you're applying, like there's only so much procrastination you should be like uh I don't know, I should say should, but like that you I don't know, there's only so much procrastination you should do, because at some point it's going to get really overwhelming and it will probably affect the way it will probably affect your writing as well if you like overload yourself with this kind of work.
I feel like a good tip with that is like just okay. A lot of these colleges have their stuff due at the same time, like depending on the timeline, but maybe make like individual like deadlines for yourself. So it's like, okay, Columbia's actually due this Friday for me, and then you'll have another university due Sunday. So it's like you turn it in and you never have to look at it again. If you are a procrastinator or if you still want the rush of turning in something last minute, try that. Because I know a lot of people are like deadline oriented. So I think that's like what's worked for me with like even now when I'm applying to college, like not colleges, jobs and stuff. I set my own deadlines so I know, okay, I need to do this internship, I need to do this fellowship, blah, 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 blah. I'm not that much of a procrastinator. I think I'm like, that's not really an issue for me. But I do like pressure, which is unhealthy. Don't like pressure. Relax. But if you are that person, you can't help it. That's what I do. I actually have an exit question for you guys. So, yay, more questions. how are you guys feeling now compared to before the presentation about writing your essays? Hopefully some of you applying to Uchicago and asking your Education USA advisors to help you or reach out to us. How are you guys feeling? You can unmute, you can chat. I don't know.
Well, you have given us like really useful tips. And like I think that, well, for me, writing it's difficult. And as you mentioned, I think that there in the United States, you write more than us here in Mexico. Well, I experienced that. And I had the opportunity to study 2 subjects there in Virginia in Ferrum College. But it was like really difficult to me, like writing essays. So, and I think that with the tips you are given to us, it's going to be like easier to apply for a school, because sometimes you think about the side. You mentioned mistakes we made, so it is like those tips help me to to think more about it, like not only to the size or things you mentioned before. And that's it. Thank you.
I'm really happy that it was helpful for you, and hopefully seeing the mistakes and seeing the good parts too kind of helps you narrow in, because I know some people just like focus on the mistakes and then they don't offer like any guidance on how to do better, and it was so frustrating when I was writing my essays. So
Oh, yeah, I saw
Um,
that plenty in my search as well.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, anything else, you guys?
Well, Daniel, I have a question. It's me again. And you gave us some resources at the beginning,
Yes.
but well, I haven't checked them, but English is not my first language. So do you have like any like grammar book or something you can share with us,
Yes,
like how to
that's
write?
actually a good point. So how should I go about this? The extent of grammar that we do is with the SAT prep. Diana, are you currently are you planning to apply, are you a senior in secondary or
Yeah, I would like to apply to study a master's degree, not this year, but
okay.
hopefully next year.
In that case, master's I feel like has a different application process, but if you're looking to improve your grammar, you can use, okay, let me type it. Yes, install Grammarly, but I also think Khan Academy, the writing / language thing they have online, Khan Academy is free. It's the same thing they use for SAT prep, but I feel like it works. It's grammar. So it's free. You can just look up Khan Academy and they have a bunch of lessons and stuff on specific grammar stuff. But if you're just typing anything,
Yeah.
Grammarly, install Grammarly, or because my grammar sucks too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing with Grammarly
I
is it
will-
also provides tips on writing more formally too. Like if you have something that's probably considered casual speech, it'll let you know about that.
Yeah, it's really specific. You don't even have to pay the premium. I just feel you get everything for the basic free one. So you don't have to pay. Yeah.
I would
Also,
I would also recommend you, Diana, to get in contact with your advising center. This session was for submitting an essay for an undergraduate application. If you are interested in submitting a master's degree application, that is a whole different story. We do have many resources on how to write your essays to submit a graduate application. We do have also information sessions and other resources. So I'm not sure where you are located, where you reside. So make sure to contact us so we can get you in contact with your closest advising center and also get you the resources for graduate programs, since these are mainly for undergrad programs.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Thank you.
I also put my Instagram in the thing just because like I get DMs all the time from people that are interested. That's kind of how I met the girl from Nicaragua actually, because she reached out to me. So if you guys have any like questions or you want me to look at your stuff, like that's my Instagram. Just DM me. I'm free. You're not bothering me. There you go. That actually brings me to the good point. I had a formal Q&A. Does anyone have any other questions about essays? I guess it's kind of a good sign that no one really does. So if you guys have like additional questions, I mean, you guys can keep reaching out to me on Instagram. I respond pretty quickly. And yeah, I mean, we have George's Instagram live next week at the same time as part of our virtual engagement series. George, do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, so in this Instagram live, I'm basically going to be talking about my own experiences with in regards to like perseverance and like trying to keep moving forward in spite of struggles like during studies on campus and everything like that. Because I gotta admit, I've had plenty of those, but I also want to get to talk about how I'm moving past them and like continuing to move forward with my education and everything like that, as well as things to consider like seeking help on campus, because generally universities will have like support systems available to you to help you if you're struggling with anything.
Thank you, George. So yeah, you guys better come. I'm looking at you. Anyways, thank you guys once again for the amazing session and being here. And I really hope you guys got something out of it. You guys are all dismissed.
Yeah. Thank you so much for everyone. We'll see you soon. Hopefully at my Instagram.
Oh, we have okay, wait, hold on. We got a bunch of people over. I'm gonna post my Instagram again because a lot of people are asking me. There we go. There's my Instagram. Angela asked me for Instagram, and oh, Lani actually asks, is there a way to structure the why us question, or what do you both recommend? Honestly, you can write anything. I don't know any particular structure. As long as it's not like listing stuff.
Yeah. It's basically finding a way to talk about things that like you like about the university and also tying it back to like you and why it fits you in particular and such like that. That's the main way that I was writing my essay, not rather than like a list of things that I like.
Perfect. Thank you guys once again. Sorry it was so last minute. But have a great day, you guys.
Yeah, have a great day, everyone.